everyone, welcome back to my GNM Digestible Morsel series. We've covered in quite some depth now what to do when you are experiencing a biological program. So in this video I've compiled what we have learned to formulate some tips for general healthy living and a new perception of disease prevention. So by now we should all understand that things we thought caused disease in the past cannot in themselves directly cause disease, as disease is a meaningful biological program brought on by a trauma. However, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, as you already should understand by now, we can have minor programs often running without our knowledge. And as I've previously explained many times, if our bodies are already under stress from things like eating hard to digest processed foods, taking medications, having trapped emotions, exposure to heavy metal toxins and chemicals, and so forth, then this can cause us to experience these minor symptoms more intensely and even make us more susceptible to having DHS in the first place. But likewise, if we are fearful of these things, we are living in a fear-based existence. And this fear will increase our susceptibility to stress, increase susceptibility to experiencing the syndrome which worsens symptoms, and also alters our perception of situations, which will potentially increase our chances of experiencing a complex shock. So we would normally choose a healthy lifestyle to prevent disease. Understanding the biological laws, it appears we cannot really prevent disease. But again, let's not throw the baby out. We need to look at this from a different perspective. So, looking at the usual risk factors of disease that we would think of from the old way of thinking, we can see that these do have an influence even when considering the laws. But the difference is there is no need to be frightened of them. What I mean is, while they can influence our health, they will not directly cause a disease. So we need to choose with wisdom and not fear. So, for example, smoking will not cause lung cancer. However, it can create physical stress by creating toxins in our body and causing cell damage. This can cause symptoms from poisons or injury, but our perception of this is the most important, and this is why not everybody who smokes gets lung cancer. If we have been smoking and are then told it causes us lung cancer, we could receive a death-threat conflict, which does trigger what is known as lung cancer. While heavy metal toxins will not cause cancer or disease, they can block exit pathways such as lymph flow and cause physical stress on our bodies. They can also increase the effects of EMF radiation by attracting the frequencies, causing further stress on our bodies. Food cannot cause cancer, but poor nutrition can cause deficiencies and toxicities, which can cause us to have symptoms without a DHS, as I've previously explained, and also we would not have the required nutrition to heal and recover effectively from small programs, which could make them worse and cause complications. Another way we may look at preventing disease from the old perspective is early detection. But if you have come this far and watched the rest of this series, you should by now understand that this is really counterproductive to healing and basically causing us to live in fear of disease. It will detect minor programs and old encapsulated tumours which would otherwise go unnoticed and have the potential of causing huge complications from diagnosis shock such as death fright, self-devaluation and the syndrome. Some early detection methods such as thermography, which is non-invasive, could be used wisely with the knowledge of the laws if it's not going to cause you fear. But I know in my case it really caused me a lot of fear. So I've learned that the hard way. So when understanding the biological laws, we understand that what we choose to eat, do, and think can influence our health. Now, this is not a new concept, but Dr. Hamer discovered the science behind it. So having said all of this, let's look at some healthy living tips, taking all this into account. So first, it's important that we are emotionally flexible. We need to go with the flow to reduce the likelihood of a DHS. So what I mean is, if we are rigid in our views and then something doesn't go to plan, that is, the potential. If we're emotionally sort of invested in that concept or idea that we had, or that belief that we had, we could actually cause ourselves to have a DHS if something happens. So taking the stance of being emotionally flexible and just sort of like dealing with things as they come up and having that sort of laid back approach, you're much less likely to have a DHS. We also need to understand when we may have experienced a DHS and then work to resolve it as quickly and stress-free as possible. And I don't mean going into panic mode. We just need to identify it and think, right, okay, what happened? Why am I feeling like this? I think it was down to this, okay. And then change your perception of it, or go for a physical resolution. So if you fall out with somebody, go and make it up with them, or something like that. Maintain a healthy body and mind, avoiding natural substances, eating a whole food diet of natural foods, and keeping your exit pathways clear. And I've explained before, by exit pathways, I mean, making sure you're not constipated, making sure your lymph, be doing some lymph work, or having some SCAT regularly to keep your lymph moving. Regular exercise is the best way to keep your lymphatic system moving. And things like wearing deodorants will block the lymphs, the particles of aluminium. So avoiding things that would cause blockage to exit pathways. I would also strongly suggest to avoid new food or medical concepts such as genetically modified ingredients and the new synthetic biology such as lab-grown meat and gene therapy as well. We have no idea at this point how these could influence our natural environment and interfere with the biological programs, or even if this could even be possible. But I would say, if in doubt, it is certainly better to be safe than sorry. Love and appreciate the wonder of your amazing body and realise that it is built for survival and not out to harm you. And I think this is a really important point, because we are brought up to believe that we are under attack from everything, and where cancer is concerned, including our body, that our body could be out to attack us. So I think that's a really important thought to change, really. We need to trust in nature and the natural process. Understand that everything that exists in nature is in harmony with each other, and that everything exists for a reason. Things do not exist for each other's demise. Again, an important concept, especially in this last year or so, when they're trying to lead us to believe that there is something that is out there attacking us. Avoid toxic and negative people and situations. Now, this goes without saying, because you're going to just increase stress, increase emotional baggage, and get triggered all the time from any old emotions that you have if you're around toxic and negative people. Learning to say no, learning to sort of have your boundaries. By setting boundaries and learning to say no, we are showing people that we respect ourselves, and therefore how we expect them to treat us. And when they see that we respect ourselves, they will in turn respect us. Give less energy to things that don't matter. So, for example, there's so much going on at the moment. There's even in the sort of awakened community and in the sort of non-awakened, I suppose, community. And they're all getting offended by so many things. It's just so easy to offend someone nowadays. I mean, you know, this could really cause DHS for people. I mean, taking things so personally, you know, it's not very constructive. So just let go. I mean, there's that great quote, isn't there? Never take advice, never take an insult from somebody that you would not take advice from. That's a good quote to live by, I think. Keep a positive mindset and be careful of inner talk and beliefs that do not serve you. And this, I believe, is such an important point. So many of us put ourselves down, put our lives down, put our bodies down, and there is just no need, you know. If we're always living from our heart and we feel like we're doing the right thing with the knowledge that we know at the time, then there is no need to put ourselves down. Practice kindness and compassion to yourself. Learn an energetic testing method, such as muscle testing, which I'm going to do another video on as soon as I can. This will make sure that everything that you are doing is in harmony with what your body needs at the time. So if you're in a biological program, you will know exactly what your body needs. And even if you're not in a biological program, you'll know if it's okay to eat this certain food or do this certain activity or whatever it is that you want to test on. Energetic testing, learning an energetic testing method has empowered me so much, and it really fits in with working with the biological laws, because we're basically asking our body what it needs, and our body will never lie. So for me, it's been a really huge, really important part of my life since I've learned it, and it has helped me so much. So I hope these tips help you to bring all the information together and see what you can do on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure that there are other things that you can think of as well to live by when you understand the biological laws. This is just like a little sort of brief summary of things that I find important. The biggest thing is not to live in fear, is to live with love. If we live in fear, then we're always going to be fearful of something, and that fear is going to be triggered by so much. So having a love-based existence, and what does that mean? It means doing what we know is right, listening to ourselves, listening to our heart, listening to our gut instincts. It means knowing that we have our own power. It means appreciating ourselves for everything that we have done and that everything ourselves do every single day to keep us alive, and not putting them down. And it means embracing symptoms with compassion, not fear. So as we're not, we're understanding what is going on and not being fearful of it, and therefore this understanding will allow the process to complete more quickly without resistance. It's accepting change, whether those changes are in our bodies, in our lives. It's accepting that things do change and that we need to move forward, and rather than look into our future with fear, looking for what we actually love, choosing things from wisdom and not from fear. So you're not sort of avoiding certain foods or certain activities or certain sort of chemicals or anything like that because you're afraid of them. You're choosing them because you know that that's not good for your body at the moment. It's just a different way of thinking that would that help us to not be in the fear. It's just little tiny little ways of thinking. You can still come up with the same solutions, but it's thinking about them in that slightly different way to dispel the fear and create love. One thing I do is when I have a moment is I look around for things that I love, just to increase that love, that oxytocin and that love feeling. So I look around for colours I love, for shapes, or for furniture or clothes or books or plants, trees, flowers, whatever is around you. Just look for things that you love and think to yourself, I love that colour, I love that book, I love that ornament, or whatever. This is how to grow that love inside you, to grow your heart energy. Think of situations as well in the future, thinking of what you want rather than what you don't want. There is a lot at the moment of people that are going on about where we're heading, and for me it's just not on my wavelength. It's not my future, and so I'm taking steps to create the future that I want. And it's not being in denial of what's going on, because the steps that I am making are providing us with protection. So we need, it's not that we need to sort of be all positive and love and light all the time. It's that we identify the things that are threatening us, or the things that may, whether that's threatening our way of life or our body, or our thoughts and our feelings. It's identifying those and doing something constructive about it. So it's a little bit like having a plan B, thinking what's the worst that can happen, preparing for that, but then letting it go and focusing and putting all your energy in and focusing on what you actually do want. And I do that in all aspects of my life. It's not always easy, but it's doable. So I hope this has helped you, and thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time.